The restaurant glowed in warm gold, light spilling over wine glasses and half-finished plates of pasta. Laughter swirled through the room, tangled with the steady hum of background music. To anyone else, it was flawless. A night of joy, love, and friendship. But I couldn't hear the laughter. Not really. Not past the pounding in my chest. Not past the bitterness climbing my throat each time my eyes slipped across the table. Opposite me sat my wife, Claire, radiant with the kind of beauty that once made me believe in forever. She wore deep emerald, the shade she knew I loved, her eyes sparkling with birthday excitement. She looked alive, glowing, yet I couldn't erase what I'd witnessed 3 nights ago. That smile wasn't mine anymore. And tonight, 2 seats to her left, sat the man who already held her heart and her body. My hand tightened on the fork, forcing myself to chew though the food had turned to dust in my mouth. She must have sensed the weight in me, because her fingers brushed my arm. "James," she murmured. "You've barely spoken tonight. What's wrong? You seem so distant." I swallowed, my jaw locking. Every head at the table turned toward me. Friends, family, colleagues. Claire wanted me to pretend, to wear a smile, and assure her that everything was fine. But it wasn't. So I let the words fall, sharp enough to cut through the laughter. "I'm just wondering," I said louder than I meant to, "how you had the courage to invite your lover to your birthday dinner?" The air shattered. Forks struck plates. Laughter froze mid-breath. Claire's face, glowing a moment earlier, drained pale so quickly I thought she might collapse. 3 nights earlier, the truth had crashed into me when I wasn't seeking it. I'd left the office late, a forgotten briefcase dragging me back after dinner with a client. On the drive home, I passed the little wine bar Claire, and I once loved. Nostalgia pulled at me until I saw her. Not alone. She sat in the corner, her hand resting on another man's, her smile softer than I'd seen in months. He leaned close, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear in a gesture so tender it made me sick. I stopped the car, staring through the window like a stranger outside my own life. It wasn't just the touch. It wasn't even the kiss that followed, though it nearly split me in 2. It was the way she looked at him, gentle, familiar, as if she'd found home in someone else. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream. I drove away in silence, unraveling the last year. Her late nights, her guarded phone, her distant eyes in bed. Suddenly, everything aligned. At the dinner table, silence spread like fire. Her friends shifted, avoiding my eyes. Her parents froze, wide-eyed. Her younger sister's jaw dropped. And him, Mark the man. He had the nerve to sit there, clearing his throat, adjusting his tie, as though my words were just a nuisance. A fly too close. "James," Claire gasped, voice trembling. "What are you saying? That's absurd." I gave a cold laugh. Absurd? Should I tell them where you were Monday night? Or how he kissed you like he's done it for months? Gasps rippled. A spoon clattered to the table. Her hand shook as she grabbed her wine glass, nearly spilling it. "You must be mistaken. Don't insult me with lies, Claire." I snapped, the control I'd carried since that night burning away. "I saw you. I watched you." Mark finally spoke, his voice smooth but tense. "Maybe we should step outside." "Don't." I cut him off, glare locking him in his seat. "You don't get to talk. Not here. Not now." The weight of truth pressed down, twisting the celebration into something ugly. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Claire's face flickered. Guilt, panic, anger, desperation, flashing like lightning. "James, please," she whispered. "Not here. Not in front of everyone." "Why not?" I asked, voice hollow. "You weren't afraid to betray me in front of everyone. You brought him here like he belongs." The night unraveled. Guests excused themselves, murmuring apologies, fleeing without meeting our eyes. Her sister whispered to her mother before slipping out. Within minutes, the long, joyful table was reduced to rubble, just the 3 of us. Claire begged me to leave with her, to talk privately, but I stayed, staring at ruined food and spilled wine. At home, Silence smothered the walls. She paced, her heels tapping like nervous punctuation. "You shouldn't have done that," she said at last, her voice breaking. "You humiliated me." I laughed bitterly. "I humiliated you? You humiliated us. You humiliated our marriage." All I did was stop pretending. Her eyes brimmed, but refused to spill. "It wasn't supposed to, I didn't mean. My voice rose. "You held his hand, kissed him, invited him here. That's not an accident. That's a choice." She pressed her palms to her eyes, trembling. "James, I don't even know how to explain. You weren't there for me anymore. Always working, always tired." "Mark," he listened. "He made me feel seen." Her words cut, but not as deep as I expected. They were excuses, weak shields for her choice. "And what about me, Claire?" I whispered. "Who made me feel seen?" The silence that followed screamed louder than anything. The days blurred, cold mornings, sleepless nights. Claire pleaded, bargained, swore it was a mistake, that she loved me still, that it hadn't gone as far as I thought. But the images remained. Her smile for him, her hand in his. Trust once fractured doesn't mend overnight. Sometimes it never mends at all. One evening, as she wept into her hands at the kitchen table, I realized something. I wasn't just grieving her betrayal. I was grieving us. The people we were when we first fell in love, the future we dreamed of, the trust one thought was unbreakable. I stood, slid my wedding ring from my finger, the metal heavier than ever. "James, please," she whispered, broken. But I couldn't. Not anymore. The divorce came months later. Clean on paper, jagged in reality. She moved in with a friend. I kept the house, now echoing with silence. Sometimes I replay that dinner in my mind, the way her face collapsed when I spoke the truth aloud. Part of me wonders if I should have waited, kept it private. But the part that still heals knows I had to speak, because secrets rot in the dark. And that night, under golden lights and clinking glasses, I dragged ours into the open. For once, the humiliation wasn't mine alone to carry.